Practical improv, spontaneous play for survival and success. Isn't it interesting to like put play and survival in the same sentence? Wonder what's going to happen today. I'm Rick from Thriving Now. I'm here with Cathy Bartuli from the Intimacy Dojo and co-creator and playmaster Thriving Now too. Welcome, Cathy.
I'm glad to be here. I think this topic is really fundamental, and I don't see a lot of people talking about it. I think we're taught so much in our society that we should be serious and sit still and do things right the first time. And I think this goes really well with our call we have on Tuesday about what if I'm wrong, because I think there's a resonance between these because so many of us are trying to get things right and we're very rigid about it. And improv and play is about exploring and trying things and going, well, that didn't work. What did I learn from this? How can I do it different or better? And even these calls, Rick and I were talking before we started, like, we really improv off each other and off of you. Like, this is we're co creating these calls together. And we have some points we want to touch on, but we're really creating it with everyone here, and I just love that flow and that the joy and ease that comes through that.
It was interesting, like when you put out an energy and an invitation, sometimes you get back, oh yeah, I need this. I got like one reply from two emails. Um, and I appreciate that. But mostly this idea of play and improv just kind of it, like what? And when people don't know what something is and they don't know that they want it or need it, it can take many different repetitions, many different times. I believe that part of our improv with Thriving Now and Real Skills workshops is that we are setting up this possibility for repetition over time. So we put out something like practical improv play for survival, yeah. And down the road, someone's going to hear something about improv and the yes and approach to life. And they're going to hear something about play, and they're going to hear something about the primitive brain and how it really takes away our play and takes away our capacity to be creative and narrows the field down to uh, fight, 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 flight, freeze. So, thank you for being, if you're watching this on the replay, thank you. And if you're here live, thank you so much. The chat is open. You're welcome to add energy, ask questions, give feedback. Um, so I only have one contact in, so I will probably try to watch it, the cat with the eye that can actually see it, but who knows? I may completely misread what is coming there.
And I'll try to
But I've
help.
got Cathy to help.
Yeah.
Um, we have we have three things we're going to touch on. We're going to have a break at somewhere before 1 hour is up for about 7 minutes. We'll continue for about 90. Please take care of yourself. Part of improv, I believe, is that when you are struck by something that would be better for you, to pause, to take a break, to turn off your video, to turn on your video, to um, just please know that a big part of emotional freedom is the freedom to really feel the impulse and follow it. So our container here is not one where you need to be here. You must stay in the container. Um, we are part of a community, a circle. If you like and it feels good to you to imagine that there are people that are present now and there are people that'll be showing up and time traveling through a replay from all different corners of the world that are part of our community. If that is pleasing to you to imagine that there's room in the circle for you and there's room in the circle for those that are drawn to this work.
Yeah. We
Um,
love to hold space that you'll get what you most need to hear, whatever amount of time you are here with us. And
mhm.
I love this whole concept. Someone shared that a school is so serious. And I am someone who's pretty much lived my whole life serious and scheduled and in school, going from thing I have to do to thing I have to do to thing I'm almost late for to this other thing. And during COVID, I've been working from home more, and I've been really trying to. The last 2 days, I had nothing scheduled, and I just really tried to give myself permission to go from what did my body want to do, what was internal and true for me versus what should I do. And it's been really like I don't have good muscles for that yet. I'm getting better, but it's like, oh, I want to go sit outside, but I really should do work, but I want to go outside. I'm going to go outside and try to, work those muscles a little bit and just let my life be a little more organic and natural and flowing for myself. And I think that's a form of play too, a meditative kind of living where what's true for me right now? Can I give myself some space for that?
All right. So I'm drawn to still start with a little exercise. Um, and you're welcome to play along. I'd like you to imagine that you have a rock. It's your rock, and it's substantial. And you're moving it, and then it's stuck. And the things that you were doing to move it are not working. What's the first notion that comes to you about what to do now? It's stuck. And if you want to visualize or kind of feel like the rock is stuck, that's the reality, right? And if you want to share something in the chat, that would be welcome. Your rock is stuck. What do you do? What's the first thing, impulse that comes to you?
So we already have fears, tears, and bad words. I get frustrated and want to force things. I ask for help. I'll sit on the rock.
Tears and bad words. Yay. Thank you. Um, like all of those, they're part of our palette of possibilities. And our primitive brain has a very narrow palette. So, like getting frustrated. Now, we can sit on the rock in a different state of being. So, just to like a part of me, if I plop down on the rock and I'm feeling despair, it's a sort of freeze. It's like, I'm done. I can't do anything.
Why did I
I'm
even
just
think I was
gonna
somebody
sit
who
and
moved rocks?
cry on my rock. It's just stuck here forever. I could do that. I've done that around a project, technology, fixing a toilet, um, things that were my rocks at various points. So if your reaction has a fight, like mine is, I'm going to push it harder. And if pushing doesn't work, I'm going to pull on it harder. Push, pull, push, pull. Guess what? I've noticed that in my life, if I hit something where it's stuck, I will tend to fall into that pattern.
Which is kind of an alternating between freeze and fight.
Right. Or I'll just like, I'm out of here.
Run away.
Right. Run away. Like, this isn't going to work. I'm, you know,
I didn't
I
even want a stupid rock to begin with. Go away.
I was working on a problem, a really big rock. A lot of people were relying on me, and it wasn't working. I grabbed my Dell laptop and I threw it into the creek behind my house. That's sort of a flee, fight, flung, whatever that is.
You're fighting
He,
the computer
he,
with
fight, fling, flow.
me.
Gone. Had to pay for a new laptop. It's okay. I learned. And the next time that I ran into a rock with my laptop, I started tapping. And we use EFT tapping. If you're new to it, thrivingnow.com/tapping. And my first impulse right now is to tap for whatever you're feeling that may feel like, oh, that's sort of a fight or flight response. Breathe. Okay. Even though when my rock gets stuck,
Even though when my rock gets stuck.
I have this reaction.
I have this reaction.
Of course I do.
Of course I do.
Doesn't feel very playful.
It does not feel very playful.
Part of me might want to fight it,
Part of me may want to fight it,
force it.
force it.
Part of me may just want to blow it up,
Part of me may want to just blow it up,
throw it away,
throw it away,
run away,
run away,
or give up.
or give up.
Um,
I like to blame the rock too.
because, of course, it is its fault. It got
Yes,
stuck.
stupid rock.
I'm open to some more playful possibilities.
I'm open to some more playful possibilities.
Of it. You've got to be kidding.
You've got to be kidding.
My rock is stuck
My rock is stuck again.
by the eye. This is serious.
This is serious.
My rock is stuck.
My rock is stuck.
This is serious.
This is serious.
I can't play here.
I can't play here.
I've never been allowed to play in a situation like
I've
this.
never been allowed to play in a situation like this.
You're out of your gourd.
You're out of your gourd.
It doesn't matter that it's almost Halloween.
It doesn't matter that it's almost Halloween.
You're out of your gourd.
You're out of your gourd.
Okay. So take a breath now. And there's no right or wrong, but feel into the rock again. It's stuck. Do you feel at all more resourceful? Like the possibilities are a little wider?
Could we do a
It,
tapping round or two on some of the internal stuff that's going on
sure.
too? Like those are external actions. And I don't want to interrupt your flow, but
Yeah.
karate chop, even though I'm clearly not good enough to move this rock,
Even though I'm clearly not good enough to move this rock,
and this is my lifelong shame,
and this is my lifelong shame,
it's my fault there's even a rock here.
it's my fault there's even a rock stuck here.
And it's certainly my fault that it's stuck really hard.
And it's certainly my fault that it's stuck really hard.
This is evidence that I'm a failure.
This is evidence that I'm a failure.
And I feel deep, deep shame.
And I feel deep, deep shame.
Top of that, this rock is stuck.
This rock is stuck.
Eyebrow, it's obviously a personal failing.
It's obviously a personal failing, and I refuse to look at it another way.
So, yeah, I have so much shame about this stuck rock.
I have so much shame about this stuck rock.
Under the eye, how can I possibly play when there's evidence of my failing?
How can I possibly play with this when there's evidence of my failing?
Under the nose, and everyone is going to know.
And everyone's going to know
Chin and blame me.
and blame me.
Collarbone.
I'm blaming me. Join the party. It's blame me day.
Under the arm. Everyone's going to know.
Everyone's going to know.
Top of the head. And maybe it's not as bad as I think it is.
And Cathy says maybe it's not as bad as I think it is.
Just take a deep breath and see what you're noticing coming up. I think a lot of families use blame as a way to avoid feeling things. So I remember very clearly, if I stubbed my toe when I was little, rather than getting any sympathy or like, oh, they're there, my mom's thing was, if you had just worn slippers like I told you to, that wouldn't happen. And my little brain's like, slippers are not, the slippers we had were really soft. And I'm like, we would have still hurt our toes. Like, but there was a blaming, like if you'd just done something differently or better, this wouldn't have happened. And I think there's a belief behind that if we were perfect, if we were good enough, we would never get hurt and no one would have to deal with our disappointment or our pain. So when we
even
have
if I was perfect enough,
even if I was perfect enough,
this would never happen.
This would never happen.
Oh man, is that a trap?
Oh man, is that a trap?
I'm so tired of that trap.
I am so tired of that trap.
I was only perfect enough.
If it was only perfect enough,
Rocks would never get stuck.
rocks would never get stuck.
I was only perfect enough.
If I was only perfect enough.
Rocks would always move easily,
Rocks always move easily,
even uphill.
even uphill.
They would defy gravity.
They would defy gravity.
They would defy reality.
They would defy reality.
Perfectionism defies reality.
Perfectionism defies reality.
I've been trying to defy reality.
I have been trying to defy reality.
Easier to move a really big rock.
It's easy to move a really big rock. Yeah, I think if we let go of the shoulds and the blame, we start have when we're trying to, and I think we do. We're taught to try to distort reality to make people around us be comfortable. When the reality is the rock might be really stuck right now. And when we stop trying to pretend, we have energy to actually look directly at what's happening and see the reality. And then we start seeing different solutions. So as long as I'm pretending and putting a lot of energy into distorting it and trying not to blame, trying to avoid the shame internally, I can't see what's there to try to change it or fix it or find, as Jean put, get a dolly. Like what do I need to get? Maybe I need to sit on the rock for a while. That's okay too. So I think just
Yeah,
letting go of some of the shame and the blame can really help us see things differently.
I appreciate you like going internal. And this is a part of improv. Practical improv looks at the external and what our reaction is. And it looks at the internal and what our internal reaction is. It can also look at like what's the communal, like how are other people? And I believe that an over an overview of this that's helpful to me is who's in their primitive brain here. So if I'm needing to be perfect and have this rock not be stuck, then I'm being a perfectionist. And that's primitive brain. I'll just say it. That's my assertion. I'm open to discussion on that at some point, like in the center, thrivingnow.center. But perfectionism, my experience of it with clients, myself particularly very intimately, was that it's primitive brain oriented. It's to avoid that shame and pain and other things um, that are really, like a threat to my well-being. Um, Other people, like a lot of parents don't realize it, but they need their children to be perfect emotionally and physically, or not to be a trouble at all, not have any rocks, not bang their knee on a rock. And when they don't, they react with this attitude. It's very primitive brain. It's fighting reality or wanting someone to get away so that the reality of a situation isn't right here. Improv, if anything, says, okay, this is what's here right now. We've often seen improv in different contexts, but like here, the rock, what we were doing with the rock isn't working anymore to move it. Well, we call it stuck, but stuck, it's not moving. It's like, oh, okay. So you notice how like just the tapping of it makes the word stuck feel less like what's happening. It's like, the rock is still. What can you do with a still rock? Well, Jean's already sitting on my rock. I might as well join her. Oh, look, we brought snacks. Noreen brought paint. But now we have a painted picnic rock. Doesn't feel so stuck anymore. Ta-da! Painted picnic rock. All right, what else? It's like, let's all talk to the rock. Hey, rock, how you doing?
Hey, Rock,
You looking pretty big.
you're looking pretty big.
You're not moving anymore.
You're not moving anymore.
What's up?
What's up?
And then you can listen. And like I can fantasize about listening to the actual rock. For some people, they might listen to their intuition. Like, is the scene changing? The scene has changed. The rock is now still, it's not moving. So if you've seen comedy improv, there's a certain kind of dynamic if you're taking like comedy improv. There's also drama improv. Um, and one of those fundamentals is the yes and. Oh, the rock is still. And you're saying yes to what is showing up. Now, if if a bear comes up and pees on the rock, the scene's changed.
Nobody wants to push on it anymore anyway. Or
There's a
you're
bear
unstuck.
peeing on the rock. It's no longer stuck. It's the bear's rock. He's just
Yeah, it's all the
like
bears.
I'm rocking. The bear has claimed the rock, and nature has spoken. Right. Um, so there's a yes and we're using this rock, but there's a quality of the practice of practical is if I am in my primitive brain, it is my role, responsibility, if I want to be in playful improv, creative, responsive rather than reactive. It's my job to kind of loosen things up so that my palette of possibilities is broader. And Kathy, you know, we have the internal, external. There's also something called telescoping awareness. So telescoping awareness says, well, let's look at this thing more closely. Oh, there's this little tiny rock on the other side. If I grab the stick and move it, well, now the rock moves. So, like bringing it in closer, you're telescoping in. You also can telescope out, get a broader field. You step back from it and you look at it and go, like, dang, that rock looks good there. All it needs now are some flowers. It's been half painted. Noreen, it could be our picnic rock, our painted picnic rock. It's actually a good place for it. It's not even blocking anything. So I'm not saying that when you step back that it's going to be a positive view. It could be like, oh, there's more to it here. We're actually going up a very steep incline and it's going to get more challenging as we keep like there was a little bit of like that type of thing. Telescoping awareness, the internal and external. These are qualities of improv that if we can play with that, change the scene.
I think our
Um,
society too trains us to be so linear and logical and go a straight line. We have to be very efficient and push the rock straight ahead. Versus, I've danced. Rick does a lot of contact improv dance, and sometimes you just move to the side and like maybe the rock. And for my life, I'm like, no, I'm going this way. When really my life is asking me to take a detour. Like maybe the rock would move very easy to the side and then go like it could move in a different way versus the way I've decided it has to go. And so like when we can kind of get out of our survival brain, our really active, like, gotta make this happen, all of a sudden it may not look like we thought it looked, but it could move really powerfully. And there's a one of the reasons I love this topic is they've actually found out that play is very good. This improv, this play is really good for survival. And one of the ways they did this is they had this study, and I'll have to try to find the link for it. It was really interesting to read. They took these two sets of rats. One set had been traumatized and one set had not been traumatized. And they put them in these environments with cats. And the ones that had been traumatized were very rigid. They did not play. They were just trying to stay safe. But because they were very rigid, they had very set routines they followed, and they wouldn't explore anything. They would just do what they kind of figured out. And after a little while, the cats figured out what they were doing and ate most of them. So it was not, even though they were trying to be safe, they were not safe. The ones in the improv, the ones that improv, the ones that weren't traumatized and were willing to explore and play and do things, a few of them did get eaten. But they were willing to try different things, and the cats couldn't figure out their pattern. So over time, the rats became very resilient in this environment. They knew lots of different ways to get from point A to B. They knew how to switch the times around. They would work, there was just lots of different things they did. And I think I know that for myself. as I was trying to survive in the world as a very traumatized person, I was very rigid. And if anyone tried to change my patterns, I would get angry at them. I would blame them. I wouldn't hang out with them anymore. And as I've healed that and relaxed, and my survival brain realizes I can handle a lot of different things, I'm willing to explore. I'm meeting new people and learning new ways to do things. And I'm not in a rigid pattern. So I'm actually much safer in the world than I was before. Even though I'm not as focused on safety, I'm willing to test things and try things. It doesn't mean I'm going to like meet someone I never know before and go off for a week with them in a car somewhere. Like I'm not stupid about it, but I might say, "Oh, you're pretty fun. Why don't you come? We'll meet someplace and have coffee and talk." Or I'll meet you with a friend and we'll start meeting new people, learning new resources. So I just invite you to notice that this improv, it can be really awkward. Drew shared earlier how excruciating doing improv was because a lot of us want to do things right. We want to get things perfect, like Rick was talking about earlier in our call on Tuesday. Is a lot about you getting it wrong. Oh, don't want to do that. When we're improving, we don't necessarily know, and it can be very awkward. We can make mistakes. We can look really stupid. Maybe we're like, I'm going to try pushing the rock from the other side, and we slip and fall and we end up face first in the mud, and we're covered with mud, and we're like, oh, that didn't work. If we can say, oh, well, that's pretty funny. I have a facial now. Like I'm all good. If we can let it be like playful and we're exploring this versus, oh my God, I failed. This is yet more proof that I'm a horrible person. It's like, oh, pushing it from this side with my hands is not working. What else can I try? What did I learn from this experience? And just kind of taking it from there. So it can really be a huge survival mechanism to learn to play and to allow yourself to play and build those muscles for that. Gene said
Each time I hear about this, this
the
is like the
rats.
third time that I've heard about it, and I have just such compassion for the eaten rats, because I remember so much of my life that I was very rigid. Um, would you lead us in a tapping around like, hey, there's a reason for my rigidity,
Yeah,
and I'm open to moving my energy a little bit differently,
yeah. I
something
invite you
like
just
that.
to
That would help.
feel yourself in your body as much as feels safe. If you want to take a nice gentle breath down to the bottom of your lungs, feel your butt in the chair, wiggle your toes, karate chop. Even though I've really tried to stay as safe as I could,
Even though I've really tried to stay as safe as I could
my
and as
poor
perfect as I
survival,
could.
my poor survival brain is trying to keep me alive.
My poor survival brain is trying to keep me alive.
And it's done that by being really rigid at times,
And it's done that by being really rigid at times,
trying to be perfect.
trying to be perfect.
And I'm just tired of that effort.
And I'm tired of that effort,
Even though I've tried to be perfect my entire life,
even though I've tried to be perfect my entire life,
so I could possibly feel a little safe.
so I could possibly feel a little safe,
It's not actually making me safer.
not actually making me as safe as I could be.
It's just wearing me out.
It definitely wears me out.
Top of the head, what if there isn't a perfect?
What if there isn't a perfect? Hmm.
Eyebrow, what if there's a lot of play?
What if there's a lot of potential for play?
Side of the eye, I don't know the best way to do this yet.
I don't know the best way to do this yet.
Under the eye, and I shouldn't already know the best way to do this.
How could I possibly know the best way to do this?
Under the nose, this is a new situation.
This is a new situation.
Chin, what if I could be open to discovery?
What if I could be open to discovery
Collarbone, and learning as I go forward.
and learning as I go forward?
Under the arm, what if I tried things I'd never tried before?
I tried things I've never tried before
Top of the head, that might introduce me to new resources
that might introduce me to new resources
and a whole lot more ease.
and a whole lot more ease.
Just take a breath and notice what you're feeling. Now,
Mhm.
some of us will have, we're very attached often to that perfectionism. It became a goal, an always moving goal, that if we could hit it, then we would finally feel safe. But none of us have, I don't imagine any of us have felt perfect for more than about 30 seconds before something came and whapped us really good. it's an always moving goalpost that doesn't actually exist. And I think that there's a lot more to be found in, okay, I'm here with me and I can handle what's, or I can get help for whatever comes up. I'm not alone facing this. And I have some really good skills on taking care of whatever comes up. I can handle being wrong. I can handle being embarrassed. I can handle struggling, or falling face first in the mud. And I have people and support around me to help me get through it. That to me is much more resilient and alive than trying to get perfect for those few seconds. Yeah, never wanting anyone. So Marco shared, I'm attached to if I do nothing, I can't fail, and therefore no one can criticize me. I think we're afraid of the criticism, and we'll probably tap on that a bit on Tuesday in the I'm afraid of being wrong call. So if that's something that comes up for you, we would invite you to join us.
There's also the idea of a space. Um, so I'm a contact improv dancer. I haven't done like improv comedy. I'm aware of the technique and the technology there that they use to create a place where the possibility for um, humorous and fun things come out. Um, you could tell I have a little bit of that nature just by the way that we are being in this workshop. In contact improv dance, we get together and the container is this is this is awkward because it's not choreographed. Your partners, you start with gravity and the floor. Okay, those are your first two partners, and there's no music as a partner most of the time in contact improv. So what happens? You kind of graze around. Sometimes you make a short contact, and sometimes you don't. As energetic beings, we're making contact as we move closer to someone. We can feel like maybe there's an attraction, an energy bringing us together. Maybe as we move towards someone, they move away, and there's sort of this movement like this. Maybe one is leading and the other one's following. Maybe one is chasing and the other one is playing keep away. Maybe there's a repulsion, like no. And these energies are part of potentially a part of every situation. And in contact improv dance, we come together with an idea that there's a dynamic happening, an underscore, that underneath whatever's happening, there's this underscore. And for me in Thriving Now, the underscore is we're building awareness of primitive brain. So if someone goes into primitive brain, there are lots of other people around that instead of just being reactive, some of us might notice, oh, there's primitive brain that lit up. And we might ground ourselves and let that energy spread. Maybe someone acts out in primitive brain and it's okay. Maybe I'm the one next that gets impacted by it or triggered by it. And that's what there's this idea underneath of it that play, for example, is it can be silly. I can be silly. I can be profane. I can be across a very wide palette. And so can you. I mean, that's part of our palette. We do ask and create a container where if someone were to get on and start criticizing someone else that is a participant, we will pause that. I'll mute them. I'll ask them to pause. I'll mute them if they can't pause because criticism is not part of our underscore. Now, everyone can have their own idea of whether they're attracted to a particular person, what they just said in the chat. Oh, thank you so much. There's an attraction. You can also be repulsed. You can feel like, oh, I'm really coming into congruence with what Rick and Cathy are talking about. Or like, you know, I've taken what I need here and I'm diverging out and I'm going to be going my own way with this. Take the nugget and leave the big pile of rock. So, like all of those things are part of improvisation. They're part of emotional freedom to me, to be able to converge and diverge, to be able to have contrast without it being violent. I believe that um, we can't get away from our primitive brain. It's not a failing if we get triggered. Um, our relationship ideas in our primitive brain are around fitting in, judgment, status, but those are primitive brain things. I'd like to create a space where there's more freedom to be spontaneous, to offer, to share wisdom as you all are doing.
Yeah, and I think
Um,
it's also important to know we don't have to take giant steps. So if you've never done contact improv, you don't have to do lifts the first time with somebody. Like the first time I did it, we were just rolling arms back and forth and kind of swaying our bodies a little bit to figure out what was safe. When we're learning to play, we don't have to like dive in the deep end if it's scary to you. Oh, kitty. Um, Elizabeth's cat is joining us, and cats are great at playing and doing what they think they want to do, irrespective of anyone else's desires. Um, I I don't know about where you're at, Rick, but I'd love to work with some people that if you have blocks or fears coming up around trying some of this, I'd love to start tapping with folks.
Yeah, the call is being recorded. It's going to be out publicly available on the center. So if you do raise your hand, there's a couple of things. You don't have to turn your video on. We welcome getting a chance to see you, but it's not a requirement. You can also go into participants and change your name to a nickname if you want. Um, so raise your hand is under reactions on computers. Click reactions down at the bottom below the video, and there's a raise hand. Uh, on phones and pads, it's under dot, dot, dot. And if not, then, Kathy and I can continue to talk about this because there are some things that we both have that we know. There you go. We have a couple hands. Would you
Yeah,
like to pick first?
sure. I sound
You'll
already.
need to do ask to unmute because I said that.
Hey, Noreen,
Hi.
how are you doing?
Well, okay. I like I said, when you started that tapping, I realized my rock was this whole past 5 or 6 months in making this huge move and change in my life, and then having it change even more once I got here. And yeah, I just want to be able to more easily, playfully.
Yeah.
um,
When you think of all this, the move and everything that's going on, what are you noticing in your body?
just a lot of tears, like up upwelling of emotions. Uh, and fatigue, I think.
Okay. Karate chop, I am just really tired.
I'm just really tired.
This was a huge move.
This was a huge, gargantuan move.
And it got more complex as I went ahead.
And it got more complex as I moved forward with it.
No wonder I'm tired.
No wonder I'm tired.
And just try it on. You can tell me if it doesn't work or you can change the words. I'm telling myself I shouldn't be tired.
I'm kind of telling myself I shouldn't be tired.
I'm telling myself I should have handled this better.
I'm telling myself I I should have handled this better.
And I should have anticipated all these problems.
And I should have anticipated all these problems and complexities.
And that feels heavy on my body.
It does feel heavy on my body.
Top of the head, the truth is, I planned a lot.
Oh boy. The truth is, I planned and scheduled, and I planned a lot.
Eyebrow, I thought I had done all my due diligence.
I thought I had done all of my due diligence.
Side of the eye, and the universe threw some curveballs here.
Boy, I got some major curveballs.
Under the eye, I'm worried it's because I didn't plan well enough.
Worried because I didn't plan well enough.
Under the nose, what if I can be with myself right here and now?
What if I can be with myself right here and right now?
Chin, and notice I've actually made it through so far.
And notice I've actually made it through so far.
Collarbone, I've been running a marathon.
I've been running a marathon.
Under the arm, and I might just need some rest.
And I might just need some rest.
Top of the head, I'll integrate this as I'm able to.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first.
I'll integrate this as I'm able to.
I'll integrate this as I'm able to.
Eyebrow, it'll probably make more sense in 6 months.
I'm pretty sure it'll make more sense in 6 months.
Side of the eye, and I might see some big advantages that I don't see right now.
And actually, I'm already seeing some advantages.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Under the eye, I'm doing a really good job of taking care of me and my cat.
I'm doing a really good job of taking care of me and my cat. And speaking of Sasha,
Yeah.
she came out of her closet last night and slept with me.
Under the nose, even my cat notices things are settling down.
Even my cat notices things are settling down.
Chin, this was a time of immense change.
This was a time of immense change and trauma.
Collarbone, during the middle of a pandemic.
During the middle of a pandemic.
Under there, what if I did so much better than I even realized?
What if I did so much better than I even realized?
Top of the head, and now I can let myself relax and recover.
And now I can let myself relax and recover.
Before I have to go on to my next project.
Before I have to go on to my project.
Yeah, just take a breath and see what's coming up. Sasha's come out of the closet. That's a big thing.
Oh, it was huge. She's been here with me in our new home for a month today. And I've been trying to be patient, mostly with her, but I think I need to be more patient with myself too.
It's a lifelong. You changed something from a house you'd been in forever to a new. Hawaii is beautiful, but it's a very different place. Like for me, the culture was like it was a culture shock every time I visited.
Yeah. Yeah, it is that too. So, yeah, just allowing all these differences and
I think our culture is really big on like finish one thing and dive into the next. There should be like maybe 30 seconds of at a girl and then next thing. Versus like when we run a marathon, it's okay to take a couple weeks off or a month off to like we don't have to run another marathon the next weekend. And this was a month, many months long marathon,
Yeah.
emotionally, physically,
Yeah.
and just having some patience for yourself. I notice for myself when I'm beating myself up about not getting better faster, I don't get better faster. Versus if I'm like, oh, I'm beating myself up, but this was a big deal. It's okay for me to have a little bit of time to relax. My resilience is more. And that's a muscle. It's like meditative. Oh, I'm beating myself up now. Can I come back to gentle presence with myself? What is it I actually need right now? And just constantly like my mind went back to beating. Oh no, I'm gonna bring myself back up, back here. And that builds that muscle each time you do that.
My body's feeling relieved and happy that I'm open to the idea of being gently okay with where it is right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just I get impatient with myself too. But it is okay. Like they talk about relationships, you should like if you spent 6 months in a relationship, it's okay to take 6 months to recover
Yeah.
afterwards before you start dating. So this has been at least 6 months. You've given yourself less than a month now. Could you give yourself like, like at least give yourself a couple more weeks?
Okay.
Yeah.
And Noreen.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Welcome. Thank you.
Go ahead, meet you.
We're going to take a break here in a couple minutes, but I want to just reflect. I want to reflect on some of the things that we're seeing. Um, and one of the things that strikes me is that the opposite of dance improv is choreographed. And if you talk to a musician that has a greatest hit, one of the things that you'll hear from them is that they're tired, that every time that they go up on stage, all the fans want them to deliver it to them exactly the way it was recorded. And that if they do it a little differently, they can feel this ripple of discontent, even boos, right? Famous bands that have been around for decades, a lot of times they're just exhausted by having to be in the rigorous choreograph. Um, I remember dancing with a ballet um, student in contact improv. And one of the things that this person said afterwards was like, wow, dancing with you is so different because you know nothing about ballet. and and this person's instructor said, and you'll notice that he didn't look in the mirror every 3 to 5 seconds either, right? Because I was in contact improv mode, which is not choreographed. And I believe that um, one of our challenges is that we've learned to pass a test. We tend to view things as plannable. Um, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Mars. I have just as much likelihood of being in Mars as some other things that I might come up with that seem more realistic. And so like we can plan. Resilience and freedom recognize that as soon as we take a step of any kind, now something that has shown up has changed. It may be external, it may be internal. From the moment that Cathy and I connected pre-call, this call was changing. It always does. If if we try to choreograph it down to, and next we're going to have somebody volunteer that has this particular thing, right? And so, like, this is what makes it so practical, is because it actually exists. You walk outside and the weather changes in minutes. It may be more to the way that you're dressed, it may be less. As soon as you start driving anywhere, as soon as you start writing something down, your energy is changed with every word, every sentence. There was a post on the center today, and it was even recognized in the post that, oh, I wanted to write this down. Now, to me, like the improv of going into a memory, a situation, and writing it down and allowing it to go where it goes, and then reaching a place where it's like, okay, I'm going to pause here. And then who knows what's going to come in response? Maybe nothing. Maybe a response that I am attracted to, maybe a response that's absolutely contrast. But that contrast is what gives me an idea of what's right for me internally. So we're going to take a quick 7-minute break. I'm going to
And we
pause the
see
recording.
Margot's hands up so we
Yep.
can
We'll
work with
work
her
with
when
Marco.
he's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Welcome back. And yeah, I, there was a comment about, like, there are things in life that we get together and we do choreograph. And we may even choreograph doing the same show over and over again, the same words, the same dialogue, the same movements, the same staging, the same props. And that is a particular way of being. And there are certain jobs, like the industrial job of old was, you put that tire on exactly the same way 100 times a day. And that was part of the agreement. That was the exchange. And one of the reasons I look at this as a real skill to be practiced in a practical way is that, um, a lot of the way that we've been motivated is through primitive brain. The fear of being fired, the fear of failing, those are drivers. They're I'm going to keep pushing myself as if I've got this yoke on and I need to keep pushing, pushing, pushing. And to me, I want emotional freedom for all of us. And part of that is more improv and play to structure that, to even, like, rejoice in it where we can find it. It's not going to be everywhere. I don't just weave in and out of the lanes, even on the Blue Ridge Parkway when nobody is around. There's an agreement: stay in your lane, around the curves, travel at a certain speed. Um, but the improv, whether even if we're doing a choreography or a script, is okay. I'm actually in more pain today than yesterday, and I'm going to do the same. I'm doing the same script, the same choreography. To push is different than acknowledging internally, like, oh, whereas yesterday I was really ready to do this thing that I do every day. Today, my improv is what? And you know that you're an improv if your choices are not limited to things that could be flagged as fight, flight, or freeze. If the options that you're looking at all could be labeled as fight, flight, or freeze, you're in primitive brain. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a very limited palette. If if you could say, well, I could pause, I could take a break here. I could I could I could ponder. Ponder is not a primitive brain word. Hmm. Curious is not a primitive brain word. If you can be in that sort of state of being and start filling out the possibilities, like we did with the rock, we came up with dozen or more possibilities. The partially painted picnic rock, it just really appeals to me right now. I have no desire to move it until it's time. So that's something I wanted to clarify and contrast a bit. Like, improv is a way of moving out of primitive brain to be more in spontaneity. It can be earnest. It can be something that matters to you. It doesn't have to be filled with laughter, joking, or silliness, and still be an improv. You can rise internally through improv. Um, so Margot, thank you. You should be able to unmute. There, great.
So I actually have a couple, so let me throw them both at you. One is what I wrote about in the center. And the other is what I do when I'm not stressed out is like I came home last night and had like 2 meals because I just go eat like when I'm that stressed out. So I don't know if you can apply improv to, oh, let me just go eat because I'm just going to go into primitive brain because that makes me feel better and I don't have to think about what just happened.
So improv would say, I'm going to eat because that's what I do, but I wonder how I might eat a little differently.
How could I create in the moment with the food rather than I'm going to set and go straight forward is my thought. Like I'm going to eat this thing of pasta versus can I eat each moment and be a little bit present and see what else I might, do I really want to eat another bite of pasta or do I want something else? What does my body need in this moment?
Well, that's one thing, but you can also like, oh, well, I usually grab my my food stuff and go and sit where? Where would you normally sit to eat?
Right where I am now.
Right. Okay. So yeah, so like that's a common one for me too. If I'm in improv, I'm like, okay, I need this food right now. That's not really negotiable if like I'm triggered. But the improv says, and I think I'll go sit on the back porch rocking chair. Or, that was such a shitty situation. I'm just going to go in the bathroom and sit on the toilet and eat my chocolate.
Yeah, it's more like I'm not even hungry anymore. I'm just eating.
Okay.
Because I don't want to deal with it.
So can you fantasize that I'm stressed and hunger is one of the options? I'm not even hungry. I'm just going to eat because that's my medicine. Is there anything else that comes up that might not be, because that's a flee. When you're eating that way, you're running. You're running from the feelings. So what's something else that might be a possibility? Anything?
I mean, besides doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, probably even if I just walked around the couch once, just to kind of interrupt the automatic.
Yeah, I have some automatics.
I have 50 years worth of automatics.
Yeah, I have 50 years worth of automatics.
50 years of automatics.
I walked around the couch.
Maybe if I walked around the couch.
That would be neurologically interesting.
That would be neurologically interesting.
That would be different.
That would be different.
If I even ate while walking around the couch.
I ate while walking around the couch.
If I closed my eyes and ate like a blind woman.
Close my eyes and see what kind of mess I could make.
I ate with my other hand.
Yeah, that would be really interesting if I ate with my other hand.
With a pair of mittens on. Again, we get grooves. People have complex trauma in our background. We get into grooves. And so once a person is triggered, chances are the groove is going to play out. So one of the things that we can do is play more when we're not as triggered or triggered at all.
Can I just add, as someone who's struggled with food a lot, Margot, one of the things I've tried to do is instead of blindly doing that pattern, I try to bring a little bit of enjoy. I let myself enjoy doing it. And I often find I step out of it faster. So one of my things is when I'm super triggered, Wonder Bread, because when I was little, that was something I could get that actually, it does change the serotonin level in my body. So Wonder Bread to me was something, but I would sit every day after school in high school, I would eat a whole loaf of it very mindlessly. So now when I really get triggered, I'll let myself have it. And I don't say how much I can have, but I try to just really enjoy doing the thing I'm doing. And often after a slice or two, I feel very complete because I'm not fighting it and tuning it out. So I just want to add that as someone who struggles with that kind of pattern.
I'll eat my bowls of cereal slowly.
Just letting myself enjoy the fact that, rather than I'd be like, oh, I'm doing this again, oh, I'm out of control, there's a lot of noise at myself. I'd be like, oh, look, I'm comforting myself, I'm doing this thing that helps my body relax and enjoying the sensation of it. That seems to break the fight flight freeze for me much faster than trying to change something directly ahead of time. I'm sorry to step on you, Rick. I just wanted to share that.
Improv, right?
Yeah.
Part of improv is that something comes up and you feel for where things are going. Margot, what are you noticing?
It's just, there's a comment in the chat that said, I effing love cereal. It's like, when I was married, my husband said, if you would eat cereal every single day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yep, cereal and toast. It's my food. Yeah, I felt so criticized and just attacked by that person yesterday. It was just like, that was just such a major thing. Like, I didn't do any of these things you're saying, and yet, yeah, it was.
And in improv dance, if I've just had a dance with someone who really, like, they gave me more weight than I wanted, they were more like flailing around in their own processing. What happens next after that? First of all, I'm gonna diverge from them, and then I'm going to be dropping into, like, what's my dance right now? Oh, it's the cereal dance. Okay, and I want my special bowl. This qualifies to take the special bowl down from the altar. I'm really gonna fill it to the brim. Or you see how there's an act of life and that kind of thing happens. What you shared. Um, we run into people that have really anxious attachment, and when their need isn't met, or when we violate something that we wouldn't have even expected to be a thing, um, improv, to me, the practical quality of improv is, um, I want to maintain my dance. I want to be able to be with the energy. And it was really unpleasant. And I'm needing to tend to my body. I don't want to engage with anyone else. I want to dance with my cereal. How might I move with my cereal? I'm going to sit on my partially painted picnic rock and eat my cereal. Even if it's just in my imagination, that would change it. Do you see how that starts changing the groove? It doesn't take away the medicine and what's right for you. My guess is that if you add some more complexity to it, because your brain likes intriguing things, right? So if you added more neurodiversity to the experience, do you think that that would help process it through in a way that would be more you?
You mean if I added like the eating my cereal in a different place while I'm walking around the couch, or is that what you mean by like forming a new little neural pathway instead of the old three-way?
Right. Just adding a little flavor to the the tradition. If we're trying to change a pattern that is ingrained in us, the baby step is, well, I'm going to take 3 laps around the sofa, or I'm going to take a bite and do a lap around the sofa, and then I can just sit and enjoy it. It's something that tells your brain that you have more choice here, rather than, I got triggered and so I have to do this. That's my only pathway. So anything I've noticed, like, and it is really hard like Kathy shared, to give myself permission to enjoy the food. Um, but sometimes after you take a couple bites, there's this little window where it's like, oh, I really like cereal. This isn't so bad. Hallelujah for cereal. And you just do something that's a little different. What comes up for you? Any resistance to that?
Maybe a little bit. Like, oh, but this is what's always kept me safe. I mean, that's what I've always done. Like, even when I was a little kid, let me just go eat cereal.
Yeah, let me eat cereal.
Let me just go eat cereal.
I'm not taking away my cereal.
Don't take away my cereal.
I'm not even beginning to try to take away my cereal.
Don't even begin to try and take away my cereal.
I just want to feel more what?
I just want to feel more supported.
Yeah. What would be supportive that I could add to my cereal?
What would be supportive that I could add to my cereal?
Especially if I couldn't do it when I was a kid.
Especially if I couldn't do it when I was a kid.
Anything come to mind?
I just want someone else to help me.
Imaginary friends are always available to me. Have you thought of that?
I don't
Someday
want
you'll be able to say to someone, hey, would you get me a bowl of cereal? And that person will understand what you're asking for. And that'll be a breakthrough, right?
Yeah.
And in the absence of that, we're still in improv, or could be. But the idea that, like, I refuse to take away peanut butter cups from my world. Okay? Like, they are so attached to the freedom of having enough money and some sweetness and flavor that I've looked at it. And yeah, I don't want to binge on them to the point where I get sick. But I assure you that with supply chain issues, I have 3 small 4-ounce bags of dark chocolate peanut butter. Now, the dark chocolate is not the same as the Reese's cups. That was an adaptation, some improv, right? And, so when I do them now, it's like, ooh, what do I want with this? If I'm in primitive brain, the first one will already be in my mouth. Second one will be in my hand. And it'll be like, oh, what do I want to do with this? Actually, I want to warm it up so it's a little bit, or I'll drop it in my cappuccino. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm saying, yes, I have these things, and I I want to feel more of my own, like I'm with more than just the rock rolling down the hill, not sure when it's going to stop. I want to feel more like I'm in the dance with this thing and my feelings and my creativity. And if it were easy, then a lot of people would be open to improv. I appreciate that you're even, open to talking about cereal, your cereal, and how it fits in your world.
And I think it's really important not to go too fast. So if I noticed a few things Rick was suggesting, like switching from regular milk chocolate to dark chocolate, I was like, no. Like, if you're feeling that reaction, you're not there yet, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong. And I think it is important to listen to what is actually comforting. We don't want to take away the comfort that these things add without having really clear pathways, either healing the old wounds or giving us really clear anchored pathways that actually give comfort in other ways. It's great to increase the ways we get comfort. We never want to take away something that actually works. So that's what I like. I think I'm a step behind Rick in that. And like my biggest thing was, can I really let go of some of the shame and blame and enjoy the comfort I'm giving myself? And I really appreciate Sasha said she wanted a real person. Like, I think that's what I interpreted. Like, I want someone actually there comforting me and encouraging me with that. And there's nothing wrong with finding that with someone. Like, hey, listen, I'm having a really rough time. I would like, could someone come over right now and just sit with me and hand me my cereal? Or could you stop at the store, pick up this brand of cereal, this type, like I want 2% milk, none of that almond shit, none of that, I want 2% milk and I want Rice Krispies, the cocoa ones, not the Cocoa Puffs. Those hurt my teeth. I want these and I want the big box. Could you come over with those? These are the brands. Here's photos of them. Please bring them over and I will show you what bowl I want. Could you nurture me for this? Just, can we try this? And could you sit there with me while I tell you how much that soothes me and help me be present with my body as I'm soothed with that? Maybe it's Zooming with someone while you do that during, if people aren't connecting. It's really okay to take this as slow as you go. Don't shame yourself if you can help it for not being more advanced. I have some stuff going on right now. I typically don't have Wonder Bread in the house. I have a loaf of Wonder Bread sitting on the kitchen table in case I need it right now. It's not great for my body, but it's great for comfort. So it's okay to own that. Yeah, Elizabeth, could you nurture me? And I think that's a lovely thing to trade with people. Like, I would love to have an hour's worth of nurturing, and I will tell you exactly what it looks like because I know myself well. Could I give you, and let's plan times and we get to say, no, I'm too busy today or I have too much up, but that could be a great way to get that from each other.
Could I just say, and I know that you need to move on to someone else. There's no way in hell I'm going to ask for that.
I'm just curious, could you do it during a coaching call if you had a coach to do that with you? Could you like bring the cereal and just sit there and I'm not saying you should.
I doubt it.
Okay. That's one thing that helped me a lot because I had so much shame around some of the foods I turned to and amount I ate to comfort myself. And having someone sit there and very non-judgmentally kind of say, oh, okay, can you tell me what you're noticing as you eat this? Like, helping me slow down and process the feelings I got was really healing for me. It was deeply shameful at first, but it was really healing as I went forward. So just something to try on. Even a mirror in front of yourself, if you could slow down, it's one way some people find helpful. May not be for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. It is incredibly intimate to ask to be nurtured. Yes. So. Yes.
Keep going.
Elizabeth.
Okay.
Great.
Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And oh my goodness. So I'm in school and I'm sure that you've all been like, yeah, we know you're in school. Every time you show up, you're still in school.
It's okay.
And every time you show up, you're like, that's what you want to talk about.
Mhm.
But it's midterm season.
Yeah.
And I had not realized just how affected I am by everything Rick was talking about if only I could be perfect enough, bad things wouldn't happen. But I have literally cried in class. I'm the only one who does it. So I'm in a classroom of 10 people trying to intentionally put sharp objects into my friends. I'm an acupuncture student.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. I was like, oh dear.
So I just need to point out, like, oh, look, that's SI3. And it's the body channel that it's connected with. I'm like, oh, of course we start here as we name the problem because that separates the turbid from the clear. Now, generally, I mean, they were like, that goes emotionally and mentally as well as physically, but that's small intestine where we take in what is right and true.
So I love that you're sharing this, but I want to give to what's helping you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I cry a lot. I'm not getting stuff the way people half my age are. I feel deeply shamed by it. And I would really like to show up for my points, my needling practical exam able to locate the points, even though the last time I tried it, my professor was like, can you get closer to the bone? The last time my professor came over, she was like, yeah, that's barely inserted. You need that sucker to go 3 inches in the hip or the bone, the muscle, like in your glutes.
Okay.
I have a really hard time hurting people, and I have a hard time being wrong, because not only am I wrong, I cause them physical pain. Nobody wants a needle on the bone.
Karate chop. Even though I have this story
Even though I have this story,
that the other people in my class are getting this faster.
that the other people in my class are getting this faster.
That's at least I think they are.
At least I think they are.
Some of them may be scared but silent.
Some of them may be scared but silent.
Some of them may get it faster than I do.
Some of them may get it faster than I do.
At least some of the things.
At least some of the things.
And it's all okay.
It's all okay.
I'm comparing myself to my story of other people.
Comparing myself to my story of other people.
No wonder I'm crying.
No wonder I'm crying.
Because my story about other people is pretty perfect.
Because my story about other people is pretty perfect.
I think everyone else in the class has got all of this.
I do think everyone else in the class has all of this.
And that is complete bullshit.
That is complete bullshit.
They're probably as scared as I am.
They are probably as scared as I am.
They're just not brave enough to share it.
Do I have to say brave?
You can try it. You can try a different word if you want.
They just don't show it.
Top of the head. I compare myself to my story.
I compare myself to my story.
Eyebrow. My story is everyone in the class gets it 100%.
My story is that everyone in the class gets it 100%.
Side of the eye, and that is absolute bullshit.
And that is absolute bullshit.
Under the eye, nobody gets it 100%.
Nobody gets it 100%. That is true. Nobody gets it 100%.
Under the nose, there may be many that are more confused than I am.
There may be some who are more confused than I am.
Chin, I'm comparing the inside of my head.
I'm comparing the inside of my head
Collarbone to the outside of their face.
to the outside of their face.
Under the arm, and the inside of my head is always going to be messier.
And the inside of my head is always going to be messier.
Top of the head, no wonder I cry.
No wonder I cry.
Eyebrow, I'm telling myself I should feel like they look.
I'm telling myself I should feel like they look.
Side of the eye, and that's impossible.
And that's impossible.
Under the eye, I'm projecting all kinds of perfectionism on them.
I'm projecting all kinds of perfectionism on them.
Under the nose, and that energy isn't getting in the way of me actually learning what I need to learn.
And that energy is actually getting in the way of me learning what I need to learn.
Chin, what if I could send comfort to myself?
What if I could send comfort to myself?
Collarbone, there, sweetheart.
There, sweetheart.
Under the arm, this is tough stuff.
This is tough stuff.
Top of the head, nobody gets it 100%.
Nobody gets it 100%.
Eyebrow, and you really care.
And I do really care.
Side of the eye, and you don't want to hurt anyone.
I don't want to hurt anyone.
Under the eye, so you can take this a step at a time.
So I can take it a step at a time.
Under the nose, none of us get it 100%.
None of us get it 100%.
Chin, and I'm here trying to make a difference.
I'm here trying to make a difference.
Collarbone, maybe I can focus more on being of service.
Maybe I can focus more on being of service
Under the arm, than how I look to my classmates and my teachers.
than how I look to my classmates and my teachers.
Top of the head, and then I might be able to learn this a little more easily.
And then I might be able to learn this a little more easily.
Just take a deep breath and notice how that feels. As long as I focus on how I look to other people, I get in my own way really badly. I will stumble and not find the right words. If I can focus on being of service, like if I was trying to impress everyone here with, look how dynamic Cathy is and she can get always the right words and she make a big difference, I will get in my way and I will not be able to do this at all. Instead, if I can be here and just let myself, hey universe, please let me say words that help. And even if I stumble, let that be of service to someone here. That's what it's about. And with those needles, like, yes, it would hurt if you put it in someone's bone, but you're not going to kill them. Okay? There might be an ouch, but you're not doing heart or brain surgery.
That's true.
So and people volunteering, they might learn from that process too.
Oh, that's true.
So if you could give yourself a little leeway around, like even a little bit, 10% more flexibility around, if I'm not perfect, no one's going to die. Someone might have an ouch and they will heal. And I will know, I will have a better muscle feel next time what not to do. And I'm learning to be of service to people that really, really need this. Maybe that will help you get out of that hamster wheel of trying to live up to the story you tell about other people.
Thank you. And this is a common thing that they do in scripts, is focusing on being of service to others. But I would rather not be of service to others and teaching them just how much it hurts to have your knees needled.
Okay, but we don't know what people need. So I say, hey, universe, and Rick and I do this before almost every call. Please let us be of service to those that show up and those that need it. And it's like, sometimes that might be saying something really stupid. Like I've said things like, oh, I wish I hadn't said it that way or whatever. But maybe someone needed to hear it that way. Maybe it would shock them out of it. Just quickly, one of the biggest experiences I had with that, I was going on a radio show with someone I super respected, and I was terribly nervous. I was really agitated. Someone came up to me. We were at a big conference, and they were doing the radio show from that. This person who'd seen some of my videos ran up to me right as I was about to walk in to do the radio show, gave me a hug, and poured a hot cup of coffee down my back by accident. And this person was horrified. I don't know what it was about it, but that grounded me like I have never seen. I blew that radio program away. She was like, "This is your first radio show?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "That was amazing." And this is not someone who, okay, we don't know what's going to serve other people. That I still wish I could find that person to say, please do not be, because he was like so objectively horrified. I didn't have time to change or anything. I had to walk in. It served me beautifully. We don't know what will serve other people. So all we can do is say, hey, universe, I'm going to do my best. The rest is up to you.
Thank you.
I hope that helps.
It does. And this is the term that determines if I get to go into clinic.
Yeah. Sure. Hey, universe.
Not true. We all do. That's the secret that nobody tells, is that even if you don't pass your written test in the first try, you get to take it again and you get into clinic. And even if you don't interview perfectly, you get to get into clinic, because we've all spent enough money that you get to get into clinic.
Hey, universe, please guide me so I know what I need to help people.
Thank you. Thank you. Please guide me.
Love, thanks for bringing that forward.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Michu.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Cathy, for this dance, this engagement. This is a rich concept. The concept of how do I approach things when I'm not in my primitive brain? We continue to keep going back to the primitive brain. And we saw that with our volunteers, like the primitive brain interferes. We're so afraid of hurting someone that it blocks our broader capacity. It blocks our calm confidence. We have a whole series of different workshops we've already done, and they'll continue around calming and confidencing ourselves so that we can be in practical, deep presence. Part of improv, when done really in a rich way, is to be in more presence. I think that is where we say, okay, I'm going to pause for a moment and I get a chance to drop in with what's here and feel for what that evokes in me, what possibilities, and to take an action and then do the same thing, to be in the flow, internal awareness, external awareness, external awareness, feeling for the telescoping awareness of ourselves, like going in closer, really looking at something, backing off and seeing it even where we're above ourselves, seeing what's happening. Yeah. Thank you, Cathy.
Yeah, I love it. And simple reminders can work great. If you want to put a note saying, please let me be of service on your computer where you'll see it. That, because sometimes I'll get in my head about stuff and I'll see the note and I'll drop in. So just gentle reminders or something that says play. Just, can I play? How can I play with this? Little reminder can be really good. And Rick, thanks so much for bringing up this topic. I think it's so valuable, and I love improving with you all the time, and each of you that are here. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. The conversation, the exploration continues. ThrivingNow.center. You're invited, and we hope to hear from you.
And Tuesday,
Yep,
what if I'm
go ahead.
wrong? Oh,
Yeah, Tuesday evening, East Coast time. What if I'm wrong? Another real skills workshop. I'm so afraid of being wrong. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
bye,
Bye for
everyone.
now. Mhm.